Actually, Fission has worked on quite a few of healthcare and one or two banking companies as well. All right. We know, I mean, SOC 2, HIPAA compliance, and all of that, which lay stress on traceability, stress on documentation, stress on everything else. Apart from all of that, right? The most important thing is like the European standard on data, and even within the US also, there are strict regulations about people accessing data, I mean, production data, real people's data, right? And there is always a concern across borders being able to, I mean, whether it's regulatory or non-regulatory, regulatory itself. I mean, there is always a risk, right? So what we do is, what we had done earlier is the entire product development until you launch the product and real customers start coming in. Until then, there is no problem at all. You can do whatever is necessary. You can follow all the regulations until then, right? And build the software. And once you launch the product, that's when it is in production, right? And you have real people's data coming in. That's when this particular question becomes really pertinent, right? I mean, all the regulations about data. So what we do for most of the testing process, for most of the staging processes and everything else, we create anonymized test data with which you can certainly test the entire application. But once it goes into production, right, the access to data is restricted. And you have teams within the US. I mean, Fission also has an office in the US, and it has it's incorporated even in the US as well. And we can have team members there. We have team members there who can look after the data part of the issue. Right? It need not be every team member in India has access to the production data. There are two aspects to it. I mean, just to summarize, right? One is you can anonymize the data, or you can create test data that's not related to production data at all for all of your product building and testing and everything else. Second one is, once you go into production, you can always have team in the US within Fission as well as the client's team as well that can look into the production aspects of the data, right? So that way, it's a fact that we had worked with clinical trial management companies. I mean, the healthcare kind of stuff, right? And we had worked with banks which wanted to create applications that help them increase their business, that make them much more interesting for their clients, to draw in clients. So in all of these areas, exactly the same standards, I mean, the same process was followed. So that's one way. I mean, you don't have to forego the advantages of a global team or an offshore development team just because there are regulations around the real data once you go into production.